All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the New York Jets podcast. We are
Oh
officially
God, don't
celebrating the New
start
York
with
Jets.
this already.
Oh, wait a minute.
No.
Am I at the wrong place? Hold on. Let me get better start.
We can do Mets updates because we're both Mets fans, but I will not partake in a Jets update because you guys won one game out of the season.
Okay, cool. I got a score.
Actually, I'll let you have it because we're probably not gonna have any more Jets updates after this.
Excuse me. You're gonna have 16 more.
Yeah, no, I won't.
Don't worry about it. We'll come back with the soccer stuff, I guess, even though the Jets are legit. Um, what's up, everybody? Really, welcome back to another episode of the Designated Players Podcast. 2 games away from playoff season, decision day, October 9th. We are weeks away, but obviously we're not playing every day. So um, it's time to start doing some predictions. As we can see Grace jumping up in the corner over there. Hello, Grace. Um, so we're going to go through all the teams that are still on the bubble from either being in or being out as of right now. So there are actually some games going on that we might update as we go on. But we're going to give our predictions. What are the results going to be? Where are the people going to finish? How is the standings going to look? We did this last year, and it was a lot of fun, especially because we were completely right. And if we weren't, then the league was wrong, obviously, because we're never wrong. But before we go into any of that, of course, scarf of the week time. What do you got?
Well, it seemed like this was at the bottom of my pile, so it's probably been a while since I brought it out. Considering they are in the playoff hunt again, and they did the miraculous last year, I've busted out the Vancouver Whitecaps, making a big push here to try to get in. I mean, it's going to be tough, but they're in the hunt.
My scarf wall fell down. A section of the wall fell down. Um, the uh, the command strip gave way that I was using. So this is just something that had fallen off. I don't think I've shown it yet. It was a random scarf that I got. Olympique de Marseille. Little
Have you showed
orange,
this one off before? I don't remember.
little orange and blue. I don't think I have. I thought I got it relatively recently. I might have shown it to you in the group, but I don't think I brought it out to the podcast yet. So um, a debut for the orange and blue Mets colors, of course, as we were
And the Knicks, of
alluding
course.
to, and the Knicks, of course. Um, just something to spice things up. Because there's so many teams to talk about. It would be wrong not to include or just to pick one scarf.
You're doing it for your favoritism of FCC, and we know it.
I've got
Just
enough
admit it.
FCC scarves to pick if I'd like.
Name another blue and orange team in this league. Exactly.
NYC Awake it.
Stop it.
And now
That
I got to
doesn't
throw
count.
this. Now I got to throw the scarf away because it matches their colors. Thank you. I
You're
like
welcome.
this one too. It looked nice.
You're welcome.
You're awful. Oh, you ready to jump right into this? West or east first? We usually go east to west. Shall we keep it that way or should we mix it up?
uh, let's go west to east. Got to end with the best, right?
That means we're ending with New England, I guess. Cool. All right. So in the Eastern Conference, pull the standings up here. LAFC has already clinched the #1 conference seed and are in a race currently with Philadelphia Union for the Supporters Shield. But they are in. Austin, Texas has a team that is doing very well. So well, in fact, that they are in. As well as newcomers, FC Dallas, in the league 1 year, already in, already going. So that leaves us, at the bottom with San Jose, shocker, Houston, shocker, and Sporting Kansas City, even with their late resurgence this past couple weeks, out of the picture. So we've got just about 8 teams to speak about here, 2 games each, and we'll just give a little rundown on what we think they're going to do and their best result that they can get out of this. We'll tally up the points at the end, and we'll go from there. Starting with Nashville, they've got Houston at home and LAFC away.
Not the LAFC.
The LAFC. LAFC away and Houston at home. What do you think happens in these games? Give me your little rundown right now. What are you thinking? It's on your brain.
I'm thinking no matter what, Nashville's safe here. They need, I believe, probably just 1 point, and I think they're safe. So I think there's 2 games left. the highest points out of the playoffs is 43. So the most. Okay, so they need a win because RSL can get 49 points.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think they get a win here against Houston. I think that locks up their playoff spot. I think they'd be fine anyway, regardless. But yeah, I think that win locks up their playoff spot, and then they can go into that LAFC game trying to hold down a home game for the playoffs in the first round. Do you want me to give the LAFC my LAFC prediction also,
I
or no?
do. Yeah, I would. That's why I have the space there.
That's a tough one because even though LAFC has locked up the Western Conference, they're going to be playing most likely for the Supporter Shield still. It could come down to the last day. So if that's the case, they're going to try for it. Houston has been streaking, I feel like, lately. They've been playing better, I should say. I feel like the last time we spoke about them, they were outside of the playoff picture or like just in it. And now they're in a home playoff spot. So I'm going to say that they are going to lose this game, though. LAFC at home this season have been very good. And I think with LAFC having something to play for, I think Nashville are going to have to work hard to get a result there. But I don't think they'll need it. So I also don't think they're going to push too hard and risk any injuries.
It's interesting. Houston at home for a team that has been pretty good in their home form. I mean, bang average. Not actually. Now that I look at these numbers a little bit more closely, they're actually the worst home record of the teams in the playoff picture right now. And actually, they have a very, very similar record at home to San Jose. That being said, Houston away has only 3 wins. And they've been just very, very poor. Their 4th best player is Adam Lundqvist, which we all know is a fan favorite of my own.
Yes, a man of your heart.
Sebastian Ferreira playing well, Darwin Quintero playing well, Fafa Picault playing well, but defensively just not there yet. Still lots of holes to fill. Teenage Hadebe playing a little bit better, but yeah, just underperforming really. I do give this win to Nashville. LAFC away. Now we talked about it. LAFC 12-1-2 at home. Fantastic record. But if we look at their recent fixtures, 4 losses, 1 draw, 1 win in their last 6, which correlates directly with the signing of one Gareth Bale, by the way. I'm trying to say anything, but I'm not saying things, you know? I'm going to say Houston go in, and the one win that they had was their only home game in that 6, too. I'm going to say Nashville can go in and get a draw here. So I'm going to say that they finish with 4 points out of this group. In total, they will finish with 51 for me, and they will have 50 for you, which should be enough to get them in. Yeah?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right, let's go ahead and move on then to Minnesota. My friends, the Loons. Minnesota on 45, or I'm sorry, Portland first. Don't worry, Loons, you're coming up next. I know how much you want to hear me talk about your team. Portland Timbers in 5th place on 46 points, 8-2-6 at home, 3-6-7 away. LAFC at home, RSL away to finish their season. Again, we just talked about how poor LAFC have been on the road in the last little bit of games. I'm going to say Portland can pick up a win in that space. And RSL away. Portland only 3-6-7 on the road, with RSL 8-3-5 and pushing to get that last spot. This may be a little bit of a spoiler. I'm going to say they lose this game. RSL wins this game because I've got another fun one coming later. So finish with
Don't
Don't you
spoil
worry.
anything yet.
Don't you worry. I say they finished with 3 points on 49. What about you?
I am I'm inclined to agree on the LAFC game. Seeing as how LAFC's form away, like you said, has been very bad. And Portland's run at home recently has been very good. I think they've won either their last two or last three at home. So riding a good home stretch here. I really badly want to say win, but like just who knows when LAFC can just like if LAFC decides to show up, Portland's probably not winning that game. But I just feel like LAFC have been so spotty about showing up that I'm inclined to I'm going to say it's a draw. I can't say I can't go with them getting a win here. I think LAFC are going to really fight hard to get that supporter shield. And then RSL has been sliding a bit here. Last win was in August. Granted, it was the last day of August. They've lost three of their last four. And one draw to DC United. Not a great run of form. Two of those games were at home. I think Portland walks away with a win and 4 points.
Yes, you put them on 50. Okay.
Yep.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Um, yeah, we have a fun little prediction for the end of this one here. Because I need some things hooked directly into my veins on decision day, and it comes from a good old RSL game. So
Oh, I imagine I have ideas of what your surprise is.
all right, we're back, Loons. Don't worry, we didn't forget about you. Minnesota United go away to San Jose and have Vancouver visit them to finish off their season. Minnesota currently 4 losses and a draw in their last 5, sitting in 6th place with 45 points, 7-4-5 at home, 6-9-1 away. Coming up against a San Jose team that is fighting for the wooden spoon. As much as I hate to do this, Minnesota, you'll get a win there. Then they go and get Vancouver at home. Vancouver, very, very poor on the road. Man, I hate doing this because I really want to put them out because I'm so tired of seeing them happy. They got ruined by Sporting KC. They picked up a draw at LA or home to LA. They lost to Portland away, and they got ruined by Dallas, and then ruined by RSL as well. That run of form isn't great.
Listen, this is MLS. Anything can happen.
You're right. 46 points. Is that what they're on? Or they're 45?
They are
I'll
on
say I'll say
45.
a draw at home to Vancouver, finish with 4 points, and that will be 49. That hurt.
I feel like their form as of late doesn't leave me feeling very confident about them even away at San Jose, considering they've lost 3-0 to RSL, 3-0 to Dallas. They lost to Portland, lost by 3 to SKC. I mean, they're getting in most of these losses, they're getting blown out too. It's like
Right, it's not close.
Yeah. They did get a point against LAFC, but like we said, LAFC on the road has been pretty poor lately. I feel like they're walking out of this with 2 draws to end the season
Yes, right to my veins. I love it. I hope you're
and
right.
2 points.
I hope you're
Puts
right.
them 47, I think, right?
I can't back a team that got 6-pieced by FCC like 2 weeks ago. I just can't. I just can't, man. I'm sorry. And I hate it because I really wish I could. Because man, how great would it be if Minnesota missed the playoffs this year? Wouldn't it be awesome?
The San Jose is possible of doing anything. I mean, they beat LAFC not too long ago, about a month ago. So anything is possible with the San Jose team.
You're right. Speaking of that San Jose team, we're going to go to LA Galaxy, who are sitting in seventh place right now, the final playoff spot on 43 points. Now they've got 3 games left. One of the very few teams that still do in the Western Conference. At San Jose again, versus RSL, a team that is directly beneath them, and at Houston, a relatively, on paper, easy showing. That being said,
Yeah.
we've already said that I need to hook a few things into my veins here. So
Yeah.
I say they're gonna
Something tells me I'm about to see some deja vu right now.
I say they're going to win at San Jose. They're going to lose at home to RSL because the curse of RSL never goes away. And at Houston, they'll pick up a draw. 4 points. There is no background outside of me trying to make something happen mathematically, by the way. This has nothing to do with their form. This has nothing to do with players, nothing to do with home or away. This is strictly because I am setting up another decision day meltdown.
Yeah, I figured that. That's why I figured deja vu, because we're sitting here looking at RSL right outside the playoffs, LA Galaxy right inside the playoffs, and of course
Again.
they play each other in the second to last game of the season. It's like I'm going through the same thing twice. What's that? There's like a movie or something that's about that. It's like
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day. Yeah,
Groundhog Day.
I think I'm going through Groundhog Day. Except there's a random Houston Portland game at the end.
I would say I really wish they flip flopped them just
They
for the
should. They
just for
should.
the vibes, you know,
Just for
uh,
the bants.
just for the vibes. What do you got? And please tell me it's like, you know, all
Can
3
you?
losses.
I'm curious. You had mentioned something about like the curse of RSL. Are you just? Was that just relaying back to last year, or is there like some ongoing?
I'm
They
pretty
can't beat
sure over the
RSL.
last couple of years, RSL and LA have been very, very close or have knocked each other out. I'll double check while you give me your predictions here.
Got it. So I'm kind of thinking because this is a rivalry game with San Jose. San Jose is going to show up, and not like just sleepwalk like they have most of the season. And I think LA Galaxy leave with a draw, pick up a point. So it's almost making me question if Minnesota would actually walk out with a draw too, because I don't know how I'm walking out with San Jose getting 2 draws here at the end. Um, I think RSL they beat RSL because
Wrong.
I can't have RSL finishing in a playoff spot with the amount of
Wrong.
trash I've talked towards them this season. They can't finish in the playoffs. I refuse. Away at Houston. Houston again has been very bad this season. Even at home, they haven't been great. I'm inclined to say Galaxy win that game too. So I'm thinking 4 points. They're on 47. They're still playing for a playoff spot at that point. And I say, ooh, this would determine possibly a home game, I think. Would it?
It might.
43. No, they're on 47. No, they're on 43. Plus 44, 47. Yeah, I'm not sure how that works. But
Numbers are hard for the accountant, I know.
no, I know it's just I don't know if goal difference is the first like tiebreaker if people are tied on points or if it's like head to head.
Let me take a look here and I'll give you the rundown.
This is hard. I mean, this game really is like I can't see Galaxy losing this game. So a draw or a win, like at the end of the day, probably puts them in the playoffs. So I don't even know why I'm like mulling over this too much. But I say they get a win. So they're getting, in my mind, they're getting 7 points to end the season, and they're
Wrong.
finishing on 50
Wrong.
because that creates a three-way tie with 50 points.
Because that's what you need in your life, right?
Chaos.
By the way, tiebreaker, total number of wins, then goal differential, then
So
goals for.
random. Just do goal difference like everybody else.
Then goals for. Then
Why does MLS got to be different in everything they do?
It gets better. Then it's fewest disciplinary points, where disciplinary points are 1 point for a foul, 2 points for a technical staff warning, 3 points for a yellow card, 7 points for a second yellow, and 7 points for a straight red. Because why not?
You know what's wild?
And then if we're tied on that, by the way, away goal differential per away match. So away goals for per away match minus away goals against per away match. Then it's away goals for per away match.
Why does this keep going? Like, in what scenario are we ever getting to
It gets better. Then it's home goal differential per home match. Then it's home goals for per home match. And if all that is a tie, we flip a coin and we say heads or tails, you're going on.
Is that for real, or did you make
Yeah,
that
dude,
one
I'm
up?
reading up the MLS website right now.
They do a coin flip at the end.
If it's two clubs, if it's three, they just put their names in a hat and pick.
No, stop! You're lying to me.
Bro, I'll send you the link. It is the fun. Or no, I'll screen.
Could you imagine your team gets knocked out of the playoffs because you didn't get picked out of a hat?
There's no way any of that would ever happen. Ever.
Oh,
but there's part of me that really wants it to.
If there is ever a league that is going to have that happen, it is this league, and there is no doubt about it.
That is so facts. That's so facts. I'll send you a snipping of it later. All right,
if that ever happens, we need a John Boy breakdown.
Oh my God, please.
By the way, what the real question is, what kind of hat are they picking out of?
This one. I'll give them this one.
No, not the Red Bull hat.
No, you're right. I want Don Garber's first ever hat as my ceremonial hat picker.
I bet Don Garber's got some like big cowboy hat that he would probably pick it out of.
Please. Just zoom it like Roger Goodell in 2020 draft. Like zoom into him in his basement, like tipsy. Just pulling.
So on par for this league. This went is so off the rails. We should probably get back to what we're supposed to.
One more about before we go on to RSL. The RSL LA clip. In 2018, the RSL, as our Euro snobs would say, finished 1 point above LA on the last game ever in the league, and finished 1 point above them. And then it happened again last year. So it's not like a year-by-year thing, but it's definitely a thing. So I see you put things there that I don't like, but I'll let you go first as we get to RSL, who are currently sitting one spot out of the playoffs based on tiebreaker, even on points with L Galaxy. They have Galaxy away, and they've got Portland.
Galaxy.
They've got Galaxy away, and they've got Portland at home. RSL 8-3-5 at home, 3-8-5 away. Abysmal on the road.
Well, I hate to break it to you, sir. We've already talked about both of their games. So whatever result you have earlier, the opposite is the result for RSL. So now putting this down altogether, I've realized I've put RSL losing both of their last two games away at Galaxy and home versus Portland, which I'm going to stand by because I can't. You have them winning both games. Because you have to go with your agenda of them.
Correct. 49 points. Goodbye. I told you I need another LA Galaxy meltdown and put it right into my veins. I need it. So LA Galaxy versus Portland, I have or RSL at LA, I have winning to set up a decision day result where Portland will lose to RSL away, and Houston will draw LA Galaxy to keep them out of the playoffs. Any questions? No? Good. Fantastic.
Listen, I'm here for the chaos. I like the chaos.
Me too. Vancouver sitting currently in ninth place with 40 points, 9-4-3 at home, 2-10-4 away. There's a trend here. I don't know if you can pick it up, but everybody who's in this spot right now can't win on the road.
No, they cannot.
So Austin at home, Minnesota away. I've already said that Vancouver, or rather for Minnesota, is a draw, which means it's Austin, Austin at home, where I don't think this Austin team is going to be stopped anytime soon. If you look at what they've done so far in their last 6, they actually have been on a little bit of a slide, but they're back onto it now, beating Salt Lake comfortably and then Austin tying Nashville. So in their last 7, 4 losses, but and one of them was to Minnesota, funny enough. That being said, I think they at least get a point here. Austin away, we're looking here. They lost to Minnesota. They lost badly to Nashville, and they lost badly to Seattle over the last couple of days. So I will say that they will pick up a draw here, give them a point. That gives them 2 points total and 42 points on the year, which I think means that they are out. But what do you have for Vancouver?
Based on what you had earlier, they'd be out no matter what. Even if they won both games, they'd be on 46. They wouldn't even pass the Galaxy at that point. So for Vancouver to actually make the playoffs, they would need a lot of help from the teams above them. So I would say almost any result we give them, they're probably not making it in, which sucks to say. They left it a little too late, I think, for them to try to make a push to get into the playoffs. I see them losing to Austin here, which is kind of, it's, I guess, a little bit odd if you look at it on paper, because you're probably thinking, okay, what's Austin really playing for at this point? Because they're not going to win Supporter Shield. They're not going to top the West and get a bye in the first round. Really, I guess they're looking to clinch the second seed and at least have 2 home games. Yeah. Obviously, potentially more, depending on how the playoffs pan out. But they would only need a point. The reason I say they win is because I think Sebastian Driussi is fighting for MLS MVP right now with Hani Mukhtar. So I think they throw out their starters and they say, go ahead. You've had an amazing season so far. Ball out the last couple of games. Go try to win yourself an MVP. In that case, I think they show up. They try. Obviously, they're not going to go like too crazy where they would risk a serious injury missing the playoffs. But I still think Austin shows up. They're at home. I think they take care of Vancouver, who, like we said, cannot show up on the road.
Vancouver's home for that game, my friend.
Oh, okay. I still think Austin wins. Austin have been a good road team this year.
The reason I say that they'll get at least a draw is because while they've been a good team, Vancouver have just had 2 games back-to-back at home and handled the Galaxy very well and put Seattle basically out of the playoffs. 2 wins on the trot. Their only other 2 home games, they beat Colorado 2-1, and they lost to Nashville, but they had a regular. So they're stronger at home. I think they at least pick up a point.
Fair enough.
Speaking of Seattle Sounders fight and win. I feel like that is going to be next year's thing, is we are not allowed to do anything regarding Seattle unless we recreate the fight and win chant.
I think because they had the fight and win chant, they should have a ban where for the next season, they're not allowed to make any noise while they watch the game. Terrible. Just completely silent.
Oh, man. All right. So Seattle at risk of missing the playoffs for the first time in 11 years, 13 years.
I think ever, right?
It is ever, but I think it's however long Red Bull are in, because Red Bull were even with them. So this is uncharted territory for them. And based off of our results, they would need to win out to bump either LA or RSL, depending on who you are. smart or dumb, me or you, respectively. You've got FCC at home, SKC away, and San Jose at home. Seattle, currently, Rui Diaz is back amongst the goals. Jordan Morris is getting a few. Nico Ladera still having a good year, not kind of up to his standards, I don't think, but playing well. Their back line is the issue for the most part. Just cannot keep the ball out of the net if you're looking at some of these fixtures that they've had. Their last clean sheet was Austin at home, but before that, it was Dallas at home, and it was more than a month ago. So, that being said, an FCC team that is coming in with red hot Brandon Vasquez, red hot Lucio Costa, red hot Brenner up against that back line, I'm saying they're losing that game at FCC. Away at SKC, the way that they've been playing recently, I believe, they've been unbeaten in their last 6. I don't think that changes. I think SKC with their new look attack, they win that game there. At that point, they're out, but I'll say they pick up a pity win against San Jose. 3 points, 42 total, and they're even with Vancouver. And they're out. And Red Bull continue yet another record of greatness.
I think they're out pretty much no matter what. In my opinion.
A lot of these teams that we're talking about now will need results plus help.
They would have to. They'd have to win out, and then I think they could win too, but they would need a ton of help in that case. Like I think Galaxy RSL game has to draw, and then I think they have to lose all their other games, and then they could get in. And then obviously hope that like Vancouver doesn't. No, because they would probably jump ahead of Vancouver anyway. So yeah, they would need to have the Galaxy and RSL draw when they play each other, and then Galaxy would have to lose to San Jose and Houston, and RSL would have to lose to Portland for them to get in on 2 wins. If they win 3, then they're actually probably sitting in a dangerous position, in which case Galaxy are going to have to like show up and get some results. But I think they're not walking away with 3 wins. I think they can beat FCC, even though I totally agree with you that FCC is playing very well. And Brenner seems to have finally like really hit form. I feel like every time I look, he's scoring goals for them now. So yeah, I think it's going to be tough, but I think back against the wall, Seattle show up, especially at home. So I don't think I don't think they want to at least get knocked out of the playoffs at home in front of their fans. So I think they get a win there. Then at SKC, this is the game I think sinks their playoff hopes. I think William Agata shows up and just sinks Seattle. SKC get the win. And then, like you had said, it's just kind of like a consolation game at that point against San Jose, in which I think actually I wouldn't be surprised if they drop points if there's nothing to play for at that point. They may just like throw out the teenagers and say, go ahead, get some game time. I'll say that they win though, just because if there is a chance they're still fighting, which I highly doubt, I think they win. So I say 6 points for them. They finish on 45, but still not enough to make the playoffs. That would actually, for me, that would put them just outside the playoffs, 2 points short of Minnesota.
I think you're an FCC hater. That's kind of once you started talking about like, oh yeah, but once you said the but after complimenting all the FCC, I just turned off, stopped listening to you. So I really don't know what you just said, but you're a hater, and I won't stand for it.
Well, what if I just said Seattle's gonna win everything?
Okay, doesn't matter. You're obviously wrong because you're hating on FCC.
What if I said FCC was gonna win everything after I said that?
Well, you didn't. So
well,
you're about to though in the next section. You're about to in the next section. I know you are. All right, last up, let's finish up with Colorado, also on 39 points, a team who topped the West last year. 9-2-5 at home, 1 win away. 1 win. Looking at a team that's got to go up against an FC Dallas side in 3rd place that is okay, not great on the road, and then got to go away to an Austin team that's been lights out. Go ahead, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say that I man, I put win originally, but I'm looking back at their recent form again, and I'm kind of second guessing it. I went based on win because they won their last 2 home games. But they did play Vancouver and San Jose in their last two home games. So I feel like that should be taken with a grain of salt. And the away games, they have not been good. I mean, they've been blown out. 6-0 against Philly, 4-1 against Nashville, 0-0 against DC, which is not a good result. And then 4-1 against Galaxy, where Galaxy had a red card.
And that red card didn't come at the end of the game either.
No, they still had like 30 minutes with that red card.
Yep.
I'm changing it. I'm going to go with a draw against Dallas. I think they lose away to Austin and finish on 1 point, and that gives them 40. I would be very curious to know what has to happen for them to make the playoffs at this point. Like, I think everything has to align. Like, every star in the entire galaxy has to align for
Colorado they need to win. They would need to win out, which would get them to 45. And they would need LA to lose, or LA to draw RSL, lose the rest of their games, RSL to lose their games, Vancouver to lose their games, and Seattle to lose their games.
Everybody's got to lose.
Except for LA and RSL, where they need to tie.
Yes. That's the only game that could tie, and then every other game has to lose. And then somehow Colorado makes the playoffs.
So that would mean that we've got the top 3, which doesn't really matter what order they're in. I don't see them changing too much. For me, it would go Nashville, then either Portland or Minnesota based off of goal. Oh, God, let's find the tiebreakers. It would be total number of wins first. So right now it is 12, or it's 11, and it's 13 for Minnesota. So Minnesota would go to the 5th spot. Portland would go to the 6th spot for me. And then the 7th spot would be taken by, oh, wait, RSL is in there too. And RSL would have 13 wins. Minnesota would have 14. And Portland would have 11, or 12, rather. So it'd be Minnesota, RSL, Portland for me would be my top 7.
Yeah.
Yes. And then it would finish with LA Galaxy in 8th, Vancouver, and then it'd be Vancouver versus Seattle. It would actually be Seattle. Wait, where's Vancouver? Yeah, it'd be Seattle, then Vancouver, then Colorado, then the bottom 3. What do you got?
So I've got the same top 3, obviously, LAFC, Austin, Dallas. Then we got to go to second round of tiebreakers between Nashville and LA Galaxy, because both would be on. No, actually, I stand corrected. It would be the Galaxy in 4th.
Ew.
Then it would be Nashville in 5th. I think Portland would be in 6th, because at that point Portland would have 12 wins, Nashville has 13, and then Galaxy would have 14. Then it would be, I think, Seattle for me would just miss out. Then it would be, oh wait, is that 7th or is that? No, that's 6. So I'm missing somebody. Minnesota. Sorry, I forgot to put in Minnesota.
We all forget about Minnesota. Don't worry.
Yeah. So my playoffs teams would be LAFC, Austin, Dallas, Galaxy. Those are the home team games. Obviously LAFC have the bye. then Nashville, Portland, and Minnesota. So that would be my playoffs. Seattle just miss out. Then it would be RSL. I think Vancouver and Colorado.
All right, so that is your Western Conference predictions from us. Only one of them is right. The other one's
Mine.
is Connor's.
No.
Let us know what you think. Comment, share, whatever. Let us know why Connor's wrong and I'm right, even though we just explained it all here. Shall we move over to the Eastern Conference?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, Eastern Conference, a lot more 3 games left versus 2. However, the first team we're going to talk about still hasn't clinched because they're kind of trash, but it's whatever. They will clinch just about the same time they get their own stadium. Nice. See how I slid that in there? That was really good.
I'm so glad they haven't clinched because now you have to talk about them.
I know, it's terrible, isn't it? New York City's here. 49 points. Basically, they just need to exist and they're in. They got Orlando at home and then away to a struggling Atlanta side to finish things off. I'll let you go first. Go ahead, give me your thoughts.
So let's see. What would it take officially clinch for them? They would need, let's see, 45 is the max a team can have outside the playoffs. Actually, let me yeah, so 45 is the max a team can have outside the playoffs. I think that would mean what's 51, so they need 1 win to be safe for sure. I think they get that against Orlando. And then at home or away at Atlanta. Let's see. So you said Atlanta was struggling. I feel like they've been playing a bit better lately. Let's see. They beat DC at home, lost to Philly on the road, lost to Portland on the road, beat Toronto at home, beat Orlando away, and then drew Philly at home. I'm going to say they lose. I'm going to say that they lose at Atlanta and we'll walk away with 3 points, but enough to get them through.
Interesting. Okay, so talked about their home form, losing to DC at home, drawing Cincinnati at home, beating Red Bull at home, which is a game that you can talk about, but it doesn't really count in the sense that that game is just a little bit more elevated, right? When you're playing against your rival, you're playing a different style. You're just doing whatever you can to win. Orlando's not a bad team. They find a way to get results. Atlanta away will always be difficult, especially if they can get some people going and if Pineda is fired by that point and somebody actually decides to play Josef Martinez instead of starting him on the bench. Yeah, still, I can't believe that.
We gotta start Dom Dwyer. Come on.
Definitely no bias here. They're losing all their games and they're not making the playoffs. No, I'm just kidding. I'll give them 2 draws because I want to see some things get interesting. So I'll give them 51 points. Finish the season because if you look at their form, home and away, their last 6 games, 1 win, 1 draw, 4 losses. They're going in the wrong direction from the way that they started, right? They started red hot. They went on this streak of unbeatenness. Then they couldn't win a game. And now they're in this stretch of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 games where they've got 2 wins. I mean, they're just not moving in the right direction right now. So I'll give them 2 draws. We'll see if we can shake things up.
They have not been the same team since Tati left.
Since Tati and even since Ronnie Dyla left.
Yeah.
Right? When Ronnie left, it was, I mean, they got back into form a little bit, but yeah, definitely not the same as what they could have been.
Yeah, so. I think even if Dyla left, I still think if they kept Tati, they could manage it, but losing both of them was just it's completely flipped that team, which is
Correct.
odd because there's still so much talent on that team. And they just have to sort it out at this point.
Yep. All right. Well, let's move on to the team that is directly below them, Orlando. We've already spoken about the game away at New York City, where I think it's going to be a draw. You think it's going to be a loss.
Yep.
They go away to Miami, and they are playing at home versus Columbus. Away to Miami, not an easy task anymore. They're much, much better at home than they used to be over the last couple of years. Their last couple of games, once I find it, excuse me, 4 wins, 3 losses in their last 7. One of those losses to New York Red Bull, of course. Beat New York City, beat Toronto, lost to Columbus, lost to Chicago, beat Columbus, lost to DC today, or beat DC today. Excuse me. Oh wow, they must have scored super late today.
Oh, they won.
They were tied in like the 80th last I checked. Hold on.
Oh, Gonzalo Higuain with a 94th minute winner.
Tell me it was on a penalty too. It'll get to my veins.
That's not
Well,
sure.
they struggled against the lower teams, right? So Orlando being a top quote top team, right? A team that is in a top playoff spot. They will play up to that level. I'm going to call that a draw. Columbus are coming off the high of the Cucho Hernandez signing. He has not been playing as well as he should be over the last couple of weeks, I'll say. I saw MLS Gone Wild put out a tweet something like his expected goals over the last like 3 or 4 games was 1.92. He's got 1. So he's missing basically a goal every time he steps on the field. So that being said, I'm going to give them a result when Columbus comes to town. 5 points on the bounce, 50 total.
Okay. Yeah, so I think they lose at NYC as we discussed before. I think they lose at Miami. I maybe this is just the Atlanta and me talking, but I feel like you're giving this team far too much credit. They do get results because clearly, like they're sitting in 5th. They got 45 points. They're getting results, but they're not looking good getting results. They're sitting with a -6 goal difference in 5th place, which is kind of wild to me. Just tells me that like when they win, they just scrape it out. When they lose, they get blown out. Is what that's just kind of how I'm reading it. I think they haven't been bad on the road. 5, 4, and 6, especially in MLS, is pretty decent. But Miami at home has been a different beast this year. They're 9-3-3 at home. Very good. This is a much different team than past Miami teams. I think Miami pull off the win. I think Orlando loses. And it puts them in a tough situation going into that last game against Columbus. Had Cucho Hernandez still been riding that high, I'd say they lose all 3 of these games and nothing would make me happier. But I do think that they get a draw here. They come away with 1 point out of their last 3 games and finish on 46. I think Columbus gets something out of this game.
Okay. I got nothing to say. I'll let the game speak for themselves.
Go ahead. Let the game speak.
We'll move into a team that is the greatest team in the world. That is an RBNY, of course, or RB Leipzig, or Everton, or RB Salzburg, or RB Bragatow, or any of the RB clubs, or the Jets, or the Mets.
All right, we get it. We get it. Let's go. Keep it moving.
FCC, FCC, FCC sitting in 6th place, 45 points, even with Orlando, but not as many wins. Of course, the clear tiebreaker. They are not in 5th place because of that. They've got a game away at Seattle versus a struggling Chicago side and away to a still struggling DC United side. I originally wrote this down as a joke, but I genuinely believe that they get a result in all 3 games here. 3 wins, 9 points, 54 to finish it out, and they jump into a home playoff, which is wild. Because I was going to do that as a joke to start, but genuinely, I said that they were going to go to Seattle, who have been struggling to keep the ball out of the net, and Brenner and Vasquez and Lucci are going to have a field day. Chicago are literally the same thing. They are struggling to keep the ball out of the net. They've got 45 goals conceded. And I mean, they blow leads like it's their job. Look at what they did at Charlotte the other day. 90th minute or 94th minute, Swiderski's goal. Just can't. They don't have that clutch gene yet. And then DC United 65 goals conceded. Is that the most? Oh yeah, it's the most, beating San Jose by 1. They're gonna have a field day. They're gonna score 900 goals. They'll probably concede 800, but law of averages says we're gonna get 3 points on each and every game. 9 on the trot and 54 to finish.
Yeah, so we already talked about the Seattle game before. I had Seattle winning, so in this case, I think FCC will lose that game. To be honest, I really wouldn't be surprised if FCC pull out the win. I think, like you said, their attack has been just ruthless this year, and the defense has been reasonable enough that they've been able to win games. But their defense has not been great by any means. They've conceded 50, which is, I think, lower half of the Eastern Conference. However, I think playing against Chicago and DC to wrap up the season, that's 6 points as far as I can see. So yeah, I have FCC getting 6 points, finishing on 51, and just missing that home playoff game by 1 point, which I know is going to infuriate you.
You know what we call that over on this side of the.
Why do you have an echo all of a sudden?
Do I have an echo? Oh, I hit there's a knob on here that doesn't. Oh, sorry.
You have a knob that doesn't echo? That's pretty
cool. So I was trying to make sure my volume was up on here because I realized the first time I used this, the volume was all the way down, which is why my audio was probably really bad. So I went to turn that. I must have turned the echo by mistake. My bad.
That's okay. You could have made your point with the echo. I think it would have worked well.
You know what we call that on this side of the? Let me restart. You know what we call that on this side of the Westchester, New York City divide?
What do you call it?
Being a hater. That's
okay.
What you are. You're a hater.
Sure. Even though I gave him 6 points out of our last 2 games.
Yeah, but you should have given him 9 because you're not. If you weren't a hater, you'd give him all 9.
Listen, USMNT Jordan Morris is going to ball out against FCC, so he's on the US team for a reason. He's going to obviously ball out.
Stop! I'm already fighting with enough people. I don't need more of that. I'm going to post your Josh Sargent take later, and I'm going to get even more heat for that. So I'm going to call you in and defend it yourself.
No, I don't care. They can say whatever they want.
Moving on to Columbus, the team sitting on the outside of the play. Oh, no. Oh, Miami jumped them. That's why I was like, what? Everything's all out of whack. We'll move on to Columbus, right? Columbus, 3 games left. Red Bull at home, Charlotte away, Orlando away. They are sitting on 42 points, currently now have dropped out of the playoff race after Gonzalo Higuain's miraculous winner. 6-4-6 at home, 3-3-9 on the road. We've already talked about how their game against Orlando is going to go. Red Bull game and the Charlotte game. I'll go like that. I'll let you go first. I've been talking. You talk.
Okay. I got a draw in the Red Bull game. Columbus definitely needs to get it together, but there is enough talent on this team that they can go out there and compete with any team in this league. And if they can kind of pull it together here at the end of the season, there's a few games left. They can, they're still well and in the playoff chase. They really need to just get everybody together, figure it out, find your way into the playoffs. I mean, they're sitting outside the playoff spot right now, only off total wins. So they're right there. They're on the doorstep. This is not an easy run of games to end the season, to be honest. But I think Caleb Porter is experienced. I think he pulls this out, gets a draw at Red Bull, at home versus Red Bull. I think he gets a win at Charlotte, which is massive, obviously, at this stage of the season. And then, as we discussed earlier, I think they get a draw at Orlando. So I think they finish with 5 points, and that puts them on 47.
Over Orlando for you. Ooh, interesting.
Hook it to my veins.
You only said
if I
that.
could
You
have
only
my,
said that to save your predictions from the beginning of the season.
I say it as an Atlanta fan that wants to see them choke and miss out.
I've got 2 draws and a loss for Columbus. We talked earlier about how Cucho Hernandez kind of has dropped the ball recently. I think he'll heat back up. The teams are figuring him out. They can't hold a lead to save their life, Columbus. Every goal, Doyle tweeted something. I was trying to pull it up before, see if I can find it again. Doyle tweeted something today that Columbus. Give me one sec here. I'll read it. The Crew have conceded 15 of the 36 goals this season in the 75th minute or later of games in which they are leading or tied. Think about that. They've conceded 36 goals all year, which is second least in the Eastern Conference right now. 15 of those were the last quarter of the game that they were either winning or tied. That's absurd.
Yeah, they're lacking the concentration.
That
to
is
say the
mental.
least.
I think they pick up a point against Red Bull because I don't understand how Red Bull are where they are to begin with anyway. Team is garbage. There's no reason they should be where they're at. I mean, just it's unbelievable. But I'm not complaining. I think they pick up a point against Charlotte. I think Charlotte are going to be at home. They're going to be pushing for it. But I don't think they've got enough to get in the playoffs right now. So I don't think they're going to pick up all the points there. And I already said that Orlando is going to beat them on a day that they probably needed to pick up all the points. So I think it's going to come down to decision day for Columbus, and I think it's going to go the wrong way.
That's what we on this side of the Westchester New York City divide call a hater.
That was a really good try. If you didn't stutter about it, it would have been really good.
You know what? I don't care.
Oh man,
Let's just move on to Miami so I could describe about how they're gonna knock Orlando out of the playoffs.
We need to do a live show of this one day. One of these days. Miami now sitting in the last playoff spot, 42 points, 9-3-3 at home, 3-10-3 on the road. They go to a TFC side that is a offensive juggernaut and a defensive liability. They get Orlando at home, and they get a second place Montreal team at home. I've already seen what you've typed, and it is absolutely blasphemous. So I'm going to let you go ahead. Go right ahead, please.
I think the away game at TFC, I think they lose that game. I think Insigne and Bernadeschi will pull something out. Miami have not been good on the road. As we discussed before for the Orlando game, I think they win at home against Orlando, which is that game may end up being a massive game for the season, depending on how that NYC game goes for Orlando. So then that leaves the last game of the season against Montreal at home. Probably everything still to play for. Gonzalo Higuain, 95th minute winner to send Inter Miami to the playoffs. Adam, I know you're listening. I know you're on board the hype train.
You give me headaches. You do. You hurt me with some of the things that you say. Let's make this really simple. Miami have done well to get where they are at. They have fixed a lot of things that needed to be fixed. they're not at a playoff level yet. They're just not. So TFC is going to beat them, and it's going to be a blowout, I think. They're going to pick up a point in Orlando. We talked about that already. Montreal is going to beat them because Montreal find ways to win on the road. They've got the most road wins of any team in MLS this year. Montreal is going to come in and get a result. They will get 1 point of their last 3 games. It will be 43 points, and they will miss the playoffs. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Here's the thing, though, for Montreal. At that point in the season, most likely they're playing for nothing. They're probably locked in at the 2. They can't get the 1. They can't drop to the 3. Are you going to risk injuring your guys on the last day of the season?
Yes.
Why?
Because you still are fighting for that last spot. Red Bull could go on a run right now.
It doesn't matter.
If Montreal pick up a win and Philly lose, they're within a point, a result of the Supporter Shield spot, the top spot. They each have 2 games left. Philly loses out. If Philly loses and Montreal wins, it's 62 and 64 points. Then it's just a win and, hope Philly loses and get a win. But you get that top spot, you're probably going to play for Supporter Shield. And if not, you're playing for a bye into the next round. You're absolutely still playing for something.
I'm
It's
saying by the last day, I don't think they're playing for anything.
You don't think. But this is why we don't let you think, because most of the time you think wrong things.
The Philly's playing Charlotte away. I think Philly can get a draw out of that.
Yeah, and then it's still they need to win. Because if Montreal wins and they get a draw, Montreal's on 19, Philly's on
then
18
then Philly has to lose at home against Toronto on the last day of the season.
You're telling me Lorenzo Insigne couldn't go in and play spoiler right now?
They could.
Exactly.
But Toronto may also be playing for nothing. Toronto will be playing for nothing.
I care too much about this playing for nothing.
I think Montreal will have nothing to play for. Miami will go pick up a win and knock Orlando out. Hook it to my veins.
Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate your thoughts.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Shall we go to Atlanta?
Yep.
Grace is making noises. Atlanta sitting on 40 points in the 9th spot. Have New England away and New York City at home. I've got them. I've already talked about New York City getting a draw out of that. And then I've got New England Revolution. Yeah, they're playing at home. Yeah, they've got an okay lineup. At this point, I think New England's going to be basically out. They're kind of in the same boat as Colorado, where they're going to need to win out and everything to go right. But I think the Revs can pick up a result here. I think that there's so much brokenness, for lack of a better term, in that Atlanta dressing room right now, where players hate the coach hates the players. Yosa's basically on his way out. There's just so much turmoil and turbulence in that locker room. I think they're going to go in and struggle for the last couple of games. They'll pick up a point at New York City if and only if they can start Yosef, but that was more wishful thinking. I give them a point in the last 2 days, and it'll be 41 for them.
I agree with you. I don't think they win against the Revs. I think they lose away. And then, as we discussed before, I think they beat NYC at home, can hopefully at least end the season on a high note. But yeah, I agree with you. A lot of locker room. It just feels like too many egos in the locker room and not someone at the helm who's adept enough at dealing with it. And it has caused a bit of a mess. So I think they'll miss the playoffs. I think they would need a lot of help anyway. But I still think they beat NYC on the last day and at least give a little bit of hope going into the next season. So 43 points for me.
Okay. So that gives 2 more teams left. Charlotte being one of them. Charlotte sitting on 38 points, 9-6-0 at home, 3-11-2 on the road. They've got Philly at home, Columbus at home, Red Bull away. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking Philly at home is going to be really tough. Philly's going to play. I think Philly's going to play hard because they can lock up their chance at the 1 seed. All they need is a win, and they get it. So might as well go hard against Charlotte, try to get it, and if you don't, you still have another chance. I think Philly going all out gets a win against Charlotte. Then Columbus. I mean, at that point, Charlotte's pretty much all but knocked out, most likely. As we discussed before, I think Columbus still fighting, pulls out a win here. Then Red Bull on the last day, probably not too meaningful of a game for either team. So I think it probably ends in a draw. I think they get a point away at Red Bull. So I think 1 point out of the last 3, putting them on 39 points to end the season.
I'm going to give them a little bit of a run here. And hope maybe one of the results that we said for the beginning of the teams doesn't work. I'm going to say, just to spice things up, because we were arguing about it before, Charlotte's going to draw Philly at home. They're going to sit in, they're going to bunker in, they're going to get a 0-0, and they're going to walk out of there with some momentum. I said that they were going to draw Columbus already. I'm going to say they're going to go to Red Bull on the last day and win. Just to use your words, they're not playing for much. They're already in the playoffs. They don't care about home, away, whatever. They're bad at home anyway. They're better on the road. Let's stop trying to get a home game and go get an away game. We'll play Red Bull 2. We'll lose 3-0 and we'll get an away game and go on a run. Sound good? Great. Perfect. Charlotte's going to finish with 5 points on 43. And they'll have more wins than Miami based off of our predictions. So they'll finish in 8th, which means that as long as Columbus lose against Red Bull, that they can jump to 7, and that'd be really cool.
Wow, you've got them on a big run at the end of the season that I just don't think they have in them.
Listen, I'm here for chaos. Now, do I think that a team that is 3-3 in their last 3 games and has a win, their two of their 3 wins are away, 2 of their 3 losses are home? They're the most upside down team possible, probably. Listen, I think that Swiderski goal might push them forward. They beat New York City. Listen, this team might be going on something here. And there's no better time to get hot than right at the end, is there?
I guess not.
Correct. Shall we finish it up?
Yeah.
New England Revs. So, Revs are sitting on 38 points. As we mentioned, they kind of need to win out and have a lot of things happen. So, on 38 points, if they win out their last 2 games at home versus Atlanta and away at Chicago, they would get 44 points, which means they would need Miami to lose all their 3 games, Columbus to lose their 3 games, Atlanta to lose their 3 games, one of which is against them, and Charlotte to at least draw or at least not win their game. So they could draw all 3, they'd be okay. My prediction, as we already said, they're going to beat Atlanta. I think Atlanta's just an absolute. But Kasper Shabilko is going to find that golden boot form for next year, drop a hat trick, and pull out a draw against Chicago and New England.
Oh,
so it's
Lord.
going to be New England 3-3 Chicago. Shabilko with a hattie and Carlos Hill with a hat trick of penalties. Mark my words.
Okay.
They'll end with 4. They'll get to 42, and they'll be sitting in 10th based off of our other results.
Okay. As we said before, I think they beat Atlanta at home. And then away at Chicago, I also think they win because I have an actual functioning brain and don't think Casper Shabilko scoring a hat trick to end the season.
Oh my God, I hope, man. I properly hope he does, just so you can
You
look
go
at
ahead. I will literally, we can put an entire episode where I will just sit and praise everything great about Red Bull if Casper Shabilko scores a hat trick on the last day of the season. I will
I don't
do
know if I'd like that, or I'd like to see you just buy his jersey and hang it up behind you,
it.
like right
Sure,
there.
I could do that
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I will either hang it up behind me or I wear the jersey every single episode for next season or something like that. Something like
See,
that.
you've heard it here first, folks. You've heard it here first.
So yeah, if I don't remember if I said it before, but yeah, I think New England wins at Chicago too. Finish on 6 for those 2 games and 44 points total.
All right, then let's round this up. Obviously, we've got our top 3. For me, I've got FCC finishing 4th because my veins need it. NYC in 5th, Orlando in 6th, Columbus rounding it out in 7th, Charlotte just missing out in 8th, Miami in 9th, New England in 10th, and Atlanta in 11th.
Hater.
With the bottom 3 that are still there right now, in whatever order, it doesn't matter because they're out.
Hater. I've got obviously top 3: Philly, Montreal, RBNY, NYC in 4th, getting that last playoff home game, FCC 5th, Miami 6th, Columbus 7th, Orlando 8th, Revs 9th, Atlanta 10th, Charlotte in 11th.
Which would be good for our predictions because we all predicted them pretty low. But I'd really rather the chaos than the predictions be right, you know?
Well, what chaos? Charlotte's not even making the playoffs in your case either. So
No, but the chaos for like FCC making the run or Charlotte going to 8th, right? Being really that close. Because, like I said, in my prediction, Charlotte's one result from Columbus away, or even Orlando, one result from Orlando away, to taking that spot. So we'll see what happens.
yes.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you go follow us wherever you get your podcasts. You know, when we drop our episodes, give us a little rating, let people know that we're doing what we do. Make sure you go follow us on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. You know, it's always good to interact with you guys there. You guys are really, really great. Our YouTube videos are doing way better than I thought they would. Right now, we're looking at just about 20 views of video. Whoa! I pull up our YouTube stats and things are playing out of speakers, getting crazy. Yeah, so we've got the last one that we had here, 15 and 18 views, 13 on the actual episode, and then TikTok's blowing up too. We're having great conversations with you guys over there, so make sure you go follow us over there. But yeah, that's pretty much all we've got for you, and we will see you on the next episode of the Designated Players Podcast. See ya.